Hi guys, hope everyone's well and welcome back to the education section. In this video I'm going to discuss handling off-plan meals. So off-plan meals, what I'd regard as an off-plan meals is basically a meal that's not on either your meal plan or maybe you're estimating into your macros. For example, if you are having Christmas dinner, if you're going out to eat with your friends, where you can't kind of track your calories on the menu, etc., and you're just going for a meal, what you could say off your usual plan. People often refer to this as a cheat meal, which I don't. I just refer to it as kind of an off-plan meal because I don't think implying that you're cheating on your diet's relatively healthy. If you're in a gaining phase, if you're in a position where you can be a bit more lax, eat a bit more food and have flexibility, then I don't think that's cheating if you've planned it in and you're doing it in a controlled manner. I think that's completely normal, and kind of calling it a cheat meal is not really a healthy behaviour to get into, in my opinion. So simply a meal that's not in your current diet, that is tracked or that you're kind of roughly estimating. So I think these are something valuable to incorporate into your diet for many reasons, more so while gaining or in a bulk. For like my clients, more so like general population clients, they will have off-plan meals while they're dieting as well, which is fine. For myself, it's not something I personally do while I'm dieting. The reason being is when I'm dieting, that's personally a time where I want to be a bit more rigid and a bit more strict to just practice the discipline so that when I get into a prep, it's going to be second nature and it's going to be somewhat normal. And when I am also dieting, like I just get it out of the way as fast as I possibly can and can just get in and out of that dieting phase. If I've got like a really kind of important event, then I will maybe eat and just be really very careful and be on the safe side and try and undereat instead of overeat, if that makes sense. But most of the time I save these kind of meals for when I am bulking. But again, it depends on your goals and your current commitments and your ability to adhere to a plan. Like if having an off-plan meal can help you adhere to a plan, then you could argue that it could be beneficial and it could be optimal for yourself. So yeah, they're valuable to incorporate because it allows you to have a mental break from your diet and avoid burnout. If you just follow like a meal plan 365 days of the year. Some people may be robotic and be able to stick to that, but most individuals won't. So for those individuals, it's good to have that mental break so they can have some flexibility that's structured, which means they will be able to stick to things long term and as a result, make progress and get results. And it allows you to maintain and strengthen relationships with others. Like food is something that it's not just about kind of enjoying the food. Like when you kind of go out for dinner or when you spend time with family and friends and eat food with them, like it is kind of helping you bond and kind of strengthen relationships, which you can't kind of underestimate the importance of because you're participating in something together, in an event together. And also in extreme circumstances, it can allow you to push your body weight up if, let's say, appetite's really low during a gaining phase. This is something I very rarely, if not ever, result to do, if that makes sense, because I don't think most of the time it's needed or warranted unless your food is absolutely ridiculously high, and it ensures you feel mentally refreshed or for your next diet. And what I mean by that is, so next time you go to diet down, you're not craving these different foods, etc., because you've already had them and experienced them during that gaining phase and during that period there. So mistakes I see people make when it comes to handling off-plan meals. So off-plan meals, like I said, something super beneficial, but you want to make sure you're handling them effectively if you want to kind of make the most progress possible. So handling these meals off poorly can include going over your calories excessively. And the reason why we don't want that is it can result in large kind of increases, a large influx in your body weight, which then doesn't come back down. And what this basically indicates is it's not going to be, let's say, sodium, water, and also just food volume in your stomach that's pushing your body weight up. It's going to be you just gaining body fat. And the reason you know that is because it's staying up, so it must be, if that makes sense. Or if you're in a gradual surplus and you're eating on top of that, it's causing your weight to jump up, and that gradual surplus is basically preventing that from dropping. So yeah, we ideally want to kind of avoid that. Reason being is, if you are, let's say, having an off-plan meal once a week and gaining a significant amount of weight, let's say a pound every week purely from an off-plan meal, then you aren't gaining that pound in a gradual, steady manner. You're doing that in one day out of 7 days in the week. What that basically means is, let's say you're sitting at maintenance and every week you have an off-plan meal, and that spikes your body weight up a pound. What that basically leads to is £1 a week rate of gain, which gains £4 a month. And if you're gaining £1 a week on only spread out over 4 days, do you think that's going to be optimal to build muscle? What's going to be optimal to build muscle is gradually kind of gaining over time, which means instead of your weight holding, jumping up, holding, jumping up, gradually increasing your body weight is going to be a bit more effective in terms of managing body fat gain, because you're much more likely to gain body fat if you're gaining that pound over 1 day rather than if you distribute that across 7 days. You're also going to be in a better position to build muscle if you distribute that pound across 7 days as well. So yeah, it means weekly weight gain. That's going to be counterproductive from off-plan meals if you don't handle them effectively. Just simply being at maintenance 6 out of 7 days and then having a big surplus the other, which is counterproductive. We ideally want to make it gradual every single day, if that makes sense. And that means you're being in a suboptimal position those 6 days out of the week, both inside the gym when it comes to performing and also outside the gym when it comes to building muscle. And it can also mean like poor digestion if you have like massive off-plan meals very consistently that maybe aren't handled well, or you don't pick the best food choices, which can then have a negative impact on things like insulin sensitivity from your digestion worsening, and also not just from your digestion worsening from having a lot of food at once. What this basically means is your ability to utilise carbs diminishes and it's poorer, which means you're not going to be as likely to utilise it towards building muscle and getting good pumps in the gym. And also having poor performance due to digestive distress seems very far-fetched, but if, let's say, you've got poor digestion, then you're maybe going to struggle to digest and assimilate that food, which means you can maybe not be able to have all the blood kind of shuttle to your musculature, and instead you'll have blood sitting in your stomach because the digestion process will be taking place. As well as that, if let's say you're doing any kind of bent over movements, like I remember when my food's, well, it's happened a few times, a few gaining phases, when like food's really high and your digestion's just not as efficient as it was, and you're just struggling to get that amount of food kind of digested effectively, and like I'd go into like bent over rows or that and then try and not burp and not kind of bring stuff back up, which just is not fun or kind of conducive towards your goals at all, and something you obviously want to avoid. It's kind of hard to perform well if that's happening at the same time. So what do we do instead? How do we handle these off-plan meals well? Simply track it into your calories. They are important, so we want to still do it, but we ideally want to estimate it into your calories and handle it relatively sensibly. And this is something you'll get better at doing over time, and a good reason to practice having them as well. And if you can track calories accurately by measuring something, if you're having something at home, maybe do that. And if maybe you're going out somewhere and you've got calories on the menu, doesn't do any harm using those calories on the menu to hit your calorie goal or roughly hit your calorie goal. And if not, estimate it the best you can. Don't stress after that. So roughly use your initiative to kind of estimate what it's going to be. What you can do is search things up on MyFitnessPal. Let's say you're having a pizza. Then if you search a pizza and there's a few options, let's say one's 1,000, another's 1,500, another's 2,000, and one's 400, right? Unless you've got an absolute minuscule pizza, it's probably not 400, let's be honest. Just use your initiative, gauging on how big you think the pizza is, how much is on it, etc. Roughly how much calories you think it is. And then just estimate the best you can. And if, let's say, you have maybe some off-plan meal foods regularly, etc., and let's say you have a pizza once a week, and then you log it as 1,000 calories, your weight jumps up a pound, and then you log it as maybe 1,500 calories, your weight doesn't jump up excessively, or maybe it comes up but goes back down just because sometimes your weight fluctuates after an off-plan meal. You then know you've handled that effectively because you've not kind of spiked your body weight up and kept it up excessively, which could indicate body fat gain.